have a very strong memory. It's one of my first memories I have of being in school. I was in Mrs. Fish's class in first grade. And Mrs. Fish was introducing us to science and the fundamentals of biology. And so she was beginning with the idea of telling us that we're all, this introduction to biology, introducing us to the idea that we're all human beings is what we are. So she asked our first grade class, she said, all right class, what are we all? What are all of us? And what are we all? And she was looking for the answer, human beings. Well, I knew the answer, and I was very proud, I got very excited, I raised my hand straight up in the air, and she said, okay, Ron, what are we all? And I proudly said, sinners. This is what I heard every week at church, and at the tender age of 6 years old, I made no distinction between learning about life in church and learning about life in school or anywhere else.
Wow.
This was the beginning of the world teaching me that I was to learn about one kind of world at school, one kind of world at work and at home and on the playground, and a very different kind of world in church. And now, almost 40 years later, I'm on my way back to the idea I had at 6. Back to erasing those distinctions between church and the rest of life. It turns out that my approach as a 6-year-old was spot on. The thing is, though, that I learned a lot of pretty wild ideas. A lot of stuff about God, about neighbor, and about self. Ideas that took me out of harmony with what Yeshua described as the most important commandment for understanding life, the law, and the prophets. That I'm to hold a condition called in Aramaic, a condition called rahma, a condition of love for God, neighbor, and self, if I'm going to understand anything about the law and the prophets, or how life works. If I hold anything unlike love in my mind for God, neighbor, or self, when I try to understand life, I'm just plain going to be off the mark, and I have work to do. There is a master tool for doing this work. The master tool for getting to know ourselves more deeply, for developing a deeper prosperity, and it is called forgiveness. And this is the primary tool that Yeshua taught 2,000 years ago. Forgiveness has a lot to do with learning to observe our minds in action. It has a lot to do with observing our minds with intelligence, and to use our attention and to invite the Holy Spirit in to clear up our errors in thought. It also has to do with safety. It has to do with taking responsibility. It has to do with releasing the goals that we hold for the world. It has nothing to do with letting other people off the hook for stuff that they supposedly did to us. That's a Greek concept called pardoning, and it's a nice thing to do, but it's not forgiveness. I'm going to ask you to consider 2 ideas that may sound funny to you, or serious, or otherwise off base. But I'm just going to say, first of all, from now on, let's not forgive anybody. Don't forgive anybody. Don't forgive yourself anymore. And second, let's not do affirmations anymore. Or at least let's not stop there. Yeshua never said to forgive anybody. What he said was to forgive as to another. Forgive as to yourself. And these are 2 tiny little words that can make a huge difference when it comes to your spiritual process. Aramaic forgiveness is rooted in the simple truth that we are all energy beings. Einstein said that when it comes to matter, we have been all wrong. What we have heretofore called matter is energy. Energy whose vibrations have been slowed, such as to be perceptible to our senses. We have these antennae for different frequencies of energy. We have eyes, we have ears, and they're picking up different frequencies all the time. And so these energies have been, their vibrations have been lowered to be perceptible to our senses. We live in an energetic world that is governed by resonance, and this can be beautifully illustrated by a simple grade school experiment with tuning forks. If I bang a tuning fork that is tuned to the key of C on this podium, it will begin to vibrate in my hand. And it will even produce a sound. Then if I take another tuning fork tuned to a different frequency, let's say A, and I hold it up next to the C tuning fork, vibrating, nothing's going to happen over here on the A tuning fork because it's tuned to a different frequency than the vibrating C fork. This is how resonance works. However, if I pick up another C tuning fork and I hit it on the other side of the accordion and I hold it, or no, I'm sorry, if I pick up another C tuning fork that's still, and I hold it up next to the vibrating C tuning fork, it will take on the vibration and it'll begin to vibrate and make a sound. That's how resonance works. And so forgiveness recognizes that if I feel anger, it's mine. If two so-called physical energies are in resonance with each other, they're vibrating at the same frequency. If anger is vibrating in me, and I have experienced this anger 87 different times with 85 different people, what good is it going to do by letting them off the hook for what they supposedly did to me? I need to clean up this vibration. I need to clean up this frequency. I need to get myself tuning to a different level. Sorry. If I'm tuned to the frequency of anger, I will pick up anger. If I'm tuned to the frequency of love, I will pick up love. My anger is the result of my holding a goal for the world. Some disagreement that I have with how it is. If I can locate what my goal is and forgive that goal, then I get to heal. And I've given if you're the person who triggered my anger, you've given me the gift of the opportunity to bring my anger up to my altar, my conscious awake self, and heal. We don't forgive people, we forgive our goals, we forgive our demands. When it comes to affirmations, let's go back to the idea that we already have it all. Instead of just doing affirmations, I ask that we learn to use them. That we use them to surface and release the adversarial energies inside us. The thing about affirmations is that they work really great when they work. But when they don't work, they don't work. And the rest of the time, they can even do some harm. Because, my question is, why can't we have, what if we could get affirmations to work every single time? And don't get me wrong,